Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Merrimack Planning Board for February 1st, 2022. As we begin, please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's take care of our normal housekeeping items at the beginning of every meeting. Remind everybody that I'll address the board to make sure the microphone is turned on and the little light on the base of it is bright green. Speak clearly into it. Introduce yourself for the record because we prepare our minutes from the recording. Our next planning board meeting after tonight is February 15th, 2022 at 7 p.m. in the Matthew Thornton room, which is this room. Let's appoint Nelson in for a voting position in for Lynn. And from there, I think that concludes our call to order. Have any planning and zoning administrators report for us tonight? Casey?
Nope, I have nothing from staff tonight.
Does any member of the board have any questions or comments for the staff? Seeing none, we'll move past the planning and zoning administrator's report. Item 3 on our agenda is Chris Ross as the applicant and 702 Daniel Webster Highway LLC as the owner. It's on our agenda for a continued review for acceptance and consideration of final approval for a site plan to construct a 42-suite extended stay hotel and associated site improvements. The parcel is located at 702 DW Highway in the C2 General Commercial District, Tax Map 7E, Lot 23-1. It's Case Planning Board 2021-40. It has been continued from our December 7th, 2021 and January 4th, 2022 Planning Board meetings. The item's been withdrawn by the applicant, and so no further proceedings will occur on that application. Item 4 on our agenda is Aubrey Duplessis as the applicant and owner, continued review for a conditional use permit for a level 2 holistic wellness home occupation. The parcel is located at 66 Tinker Road in the R1 Residential by Soils and Aquifer Conservation Districts, Tax Map 2C, Lot 56. The case is Planning Board 2022-3. The item is continued from our January 4th Planning Board meeting, and the applicant has requested a continuance to our February 15th meeting. What is the will of the board? Nelson?
Mr. Chairman, would you like a motion to extend this to February 15th?
Yes, that's the applicant's request, that we continue it till February 15th.
I would so move, Mr. Chairman, that this be continued to the 15th.
With no further notice to abutters.
With no further notice to abut.
Is there a second for that motion?
Second.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? 500 to continue that item. Item 5 on our agenda is Fidelity Investments as the applicant and FMR Merrimack Realty Trust, FID, and FMR NH Realty Limited Partners as the owners. And it is on our agenda for review for acceptance and consideration of final approval for a waiver of full site plan review to construct outdoor amenities at the Fidelity Investments campus. The parcels are located at 1 Spartan Way and 2 Contra Way in the I-2 Industrial and Aquifer Conservation Districts and Wellhead Protection Area. It's Tax Map 2C, Lot 113, and Tax Map 3C, Lot 191. It's Case Planning Board 2022-9. Casey, is there anything that we need to know before we hear from the applicant?
Not at the moment. Just a reminder that this is a waiver from the full site plan review process. Staff does have some questions for the applicant that did not make it onto the memo, but it would make more sense for the applicant to do their presentation first.
Thank you, Casey. Is the applicant here? Come on forward. All right. Tell us about what you propose.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Can you hear me okay? I'm Mark Vorostic, Senior Project Engineer with VHB out of Bedford. I'm here tonight with Ken Dodd and Rich Ventura of Fidelity. I can pull up the plan set to show, give you a brief overview of the site and the project area. Hopefully. The Fidelity campus, just to give a quick orientation, is located to the Industrial Drive here, located to the south of Industrial Drive and to the east of Continental Boulevard, to the west of the F.E. Everett Turnpike. The So this is an overall site plan of the existing campus. The proposed project is broken up into 3 phases, 3 components. One, we're calling the Pine Spine Trail. It's a walking trail that will connect the 2 existing buildings from 1 Spartan Way to 2 Contra Way. Another phase is a working organic farm located in this area, and I'll zoom into the next pages so you can see it better. And then the third piece is an outdoor open-air wooden pavilion structure for Fidelity to hold outdoor events at their campus. The first piece is the Pine Spine Trail. So this is the back of 2 Contra Way. The proposal is to build a 6-foot wide bituminous walkway that runs along the side of the existing Pondview Lane that currently is an internal circulation drive between the 2 buildings. And we'll go, the orientation is north, is to the right on this sheet. So it goes from south to north. On this sheet as well, there's 2 existing basketball courts on a service drive at the back of this project site, where they're proposing to do some maintenance improvements, basically repave those existing. There's some cracking and puddling that they want to repair, and this proposal would actually reduce some impervious area here because they don't fully use both full basketball courts. So that's part of the proposal as well. The trail continues to the north. On the west side of Pondview Lane, there will be some grading and clearing to, there's an existing road embankment, so we would have to do some grading to construct the paved walkway. We'll cross Pondview Lane here. There's an existing softball field here, and part of the proposal is to also do some improvements behind the existing backstop and incorporate a bioretention rain garden where there's an existing drainage outlet there, and this will help clean up some of the area behind the ball field and provide some infiltration and attenuation of stormwater. Traveling further to the north, so the Pine Spine Trail continues along the side of Pondview Lane here. And this is where the other 2 elements are connected. The organic farm is located here just to the east side of Pondview Lane. The organic farm is roughly 125 feet by 90 foot area. That'll be a working farm that Fidelity will use the produce from in their existing kitchens, as well as it'll be available for employees as well to use. And then the pavilion structure here is a 34 by 54 foot covered open air structure where they can hold events, they can hold classes associated with the organic farm, they can hold employee events there as well. And stormwater runoff in this area will be directed to another fire retention area located just to the north of the pavilion structure. There's an overflow structure that will let any overflow discharge adjacent to a wetland here, but anything below the overflow will infiltrate. The Pine Spine Trail then continues across Pondview Lane to the back of 1 Spartan Way. There's an existing paved walkway here that will be connected to. And there are a couple of sections, a couple of gaps in between the existing walkway that we'd be connecting here. And then from this walkway, continuing north to the backside of 1 Spartan Way where there's an employee entrance at the back. That covers, I think, an overview of the project. Happy to open it up for any questions that the board may have, and if there are operational questions, Rich and Ken are here to help answer those as well.
Thank you, Mark. Members of the board, we'll open it up for questions, but be mindful that the first bit of business to take care of is deciding that the application's complete, which is sort of a threshold inquiry. And then after that, there's, sort of opportunity for a fuller discussion. What is the will of the board? Does anyone have questions? Does anyone like to make a motion that the application's complete?
I will make a motion that it is complete for our purposes this evening.
Thank you. Is there a second for Nelson's motion? Motion and a second to determine the application's complete. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? 500. The applicant has requested that we waive full site plan review based on the notion that these are important but relatively minor in the big scheme of things, structures and developments on their site, and wouldn't require us to require all of the things in our application package that we'd have in a full site plan review. Does the board have any questions of the applicant as to that waiver? I assume it would present a hardship to require you to do surveying and all that other fun that's part of a regular application.
Right. I mean, the base plan we have a surveyed base plan here. It's really, we're not building any new occupied structures or requesting any new uses that would generate new traffic or demands on public facilities and that sort of thing.
What's the will of the board with respect to the waiver of full site plan review?
I
Nelson?
will so move, Mr. Chairman, that we waiver full site plan review.
Is there a second? Motion and a second to waive full site plan review. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? 500. Are there any abutters or interested citizens who wish to weigh in on the proposal? Seeing none, we'll consider that to be the open and close of a public hearing. I think it's a really cool project. I think what an interesting place to work with all these amenities for your employees with basketball and I see a part of a soccer field and obviously the things that you're adding on here with the garden and the pavilion. I just think it's really a unique opportunity for certain companies to be able to offer all those kinds of cool things. So what a neat project. And I think it'll be fantastic for the folks to be able to get there and use those things. Other than that, I don't have any questions. I think the presentation's pretty complete. Casey, is there discussion items that the staff would like us to have entertained for the record, or?
Oh, yeah, I have a few points I'd like to bring up. This probably should have been discussed in the memo, but I did notice that there is a phasing plan, and I wanted to know if the applicant's intent was to be locked into that phasing plan, where you would be prevented from starting phase 2 until you have that first phase completed and so on.
What are your thoughts on your phasing plan?
Well, the intent of the phasing plan is for these elements to get built, independently, depending on sequencing. Really, I mean, the intent is to build all of the items, but they may not all be done, in the same construction season, or potentially, the pieces could be pushed off to different construction seasons. So that's why we wanted to allow Fidelity to build them as separate components. I mean, the phase 1, 2, and 3 were, the main piece of it is the Pine Spine Trail, but I guess a question is, would there be a restriction on building, let's say, phase 3 before phase 1, or 2 before phase 1?
It all depends on what you represent to us you want to do and what the board is willing to approve, but I don't see any challenges with offering that flexibility. I just want to understand it. Is the phasing plan laid out on one of these sheets in the plan, or is it in a narrative?
It is shown diagrammatically on this overall site plan.
Okay.
C-
I saw the
C2,
boxes and things.
Yeah,
I didn't-
it's a little hard to read, admittedly.
Oh, I do now see where it says the phase. So the Pine Spine is 1, and then Organic Farm is 2, and Pavilion is 3.
Correct.
But you may decide that you want to pursue 2 and 3 in the reverse order,
Potentially.
potentially. But phase 1, the Pine Spine from 2 Contra Way to 1 Spartan Way, is all going to be done as one phase as the initial step.
Correct.
Okay. Me personally, honestly, I don't mind however you wish to proceed, or whether there's overlaps in the phases or the phases are taken out of order. I don't think it makes much difference from a planning standpoint. It doesn't appear that there's sort of critical elements of the structure that need to be online in order for the next thing to move. Certainly we want to see the drainage, but so do you. And I think that that's my opinion. Other folks with comments on how they're phased? Nelson?
I don't see where the town would have any particular interest in any particular sequence of these constructions, so I would not limit them in any way. Let them proceed as they wish. That would be my choice.
Yeah, I think that's essentially me too. Obviously, you want to see drainage so you don't see runoff going into the ponds and the wetlands and areas, but you've got that in the plan, and I think that's all right.
Sure.
Other comments or questions on the phasing idea? Okay, so we should capture in an eventual motion, if there is one, that as to the phasing, the applicant may proceed with its phases in any order and overlapping if desired. Other comments, Casey, that you want to make sure that we attend to?
Yeah, so just a couple of small adjustments to the wording and some of the conditions. The first one being, and so I'm looking under planning staff technical comments in our recommended conditions, letter C. We recommended a note being added, preventing the use of any salt or chemical deicers, and that winter maintenance must be performed by a Green Snow Pro certified contractor. We recently learned that this is a little contradictory, especially since that this part of the site isn't actually in the Aquifer Conservation District. But also to be a Green Snow Pro certified contractor, to get that certification, that's about actually applying salt correctly, not about not using salt at all. So we just have the recommendation to switch some of the wording around so that it says no salt or chemical deicers are to be used for winter maintenance unless performed by a Green Snow Pro certified contractor.
Okay. Now, what area of the site does that kind of a condition apply to? Because they're really only doing work on a limited area of it.
Right, yeah,
we-
so when we put that note in, we added it because the site is in the Aquifer District, not realizing that the district doesn't actually touch that part of the site.
Okay. How are you guys dealing with your snow now? Sand and salt, or mostly plowing, or do you use de-icers on site?
My understanding is it's a combination of plowing, sanding, and salting. But their current vendor that does their winter maintenance is a Green Snow Pro certified contractor.
Okay. So this note wouldn't cause any grief or any problems for you guys to say that there's no salt or de-icers unless you use a Green Snow Pro provider.
That's acceptable. Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
That makes a lot of sense, and although Casey's accurate in saying that Green Snow Pro is about applying salt correctly also means a lot less than even the state of New Hampshire does. Don't have to dive too deeply into it. We're just concerned about it because our wells are on the other side of Continental Boulevard. And even though the state controls Continental Boulevard and dumps salt there like crazy, we at least can try to limit the private folks from doing it. The state actually goes nuts with the salt they drop there, but thankful for applicants who are willing to be a little bit more conscientious about it. And that same restriction is applied to the outlet mall. They actually have no de-icers at all on the lower half of the site, and they can use them in some of the back, but I don't think that they do. So anyway, thank you for being willing to accept that condition, and I'm glad you're already using Green Snow Pro. I'm not even sure that Green Snow Pro would apply to the sidewalk and walking paths in the back. It's kind of a whatever. Other comments, Casey?
Just one more, looking under letter D of the same section.
Okay.
When we review these waiver from full site plan review plans, we usually have a list of just general notes that we would like to be added, just so the plans are more complete. We put in a requirement for the parking requirements to be added to the plan, but that's irrelevant to what is presented here on this plan, and that requirement can be deleted if the board agrees.
So if we adopt a motion, we could eliminate 7D Roman numeral 4?
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
Could you say that again, please? Which note are you deleting?
If you look under letter D.
D is dog, yeah?
Yes, yep.
Yeah.
And then Roman numeral 4.
Roman numeral 4.
So-
It's outlined in there, in the regulations, parking requirements. So what does this say?
So staff is recommending to take that note requirement off of the conditions.
Oh, okay, okay. All right.
And that is it, that's all I have.
Thank you, Casey. Discussion by members of the board. Nelson?
Yes, I have a couple items I wanted to just talk about. One of them being in the garden area has a fence around it. I didn't see a detail of the fence, but I presume that's some kind of an animal fence. Is that correct?
That's correct. The part of it is to keep animals out of the
Yeah.
garden. Yep.
Do you have to bring water to that site, or have you planned to bring water to that site?
There will be irrigation for the organic farm.
Oh, yes, so the water will have to be brought in. I didn't see the.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. There will be irrigation connected to that site. There's irrigation in the area, so we'll be connecting that existing irrigation to that.
Okay.
To the
Okay. Overall, the drainage system is, I believe, all contained on this site presently.
Correct.
And that's been in place for about 10 years ago when this whole thing was first laid out, at least. And I wondered how it's been working. Has there been problems with it, or has it been adequate to the purpose?
Yeah. To the best of my knowledge, there's been no issues. We've been looking at drainage areas, and we've helped Fidelity with other areas of the campus, and never had any concerns about drainage system capacity.
Okay. Impervious area overall is decreasing. Is that my understanding?
No, there is an increase in impervious area.
Oh, okay.
It's approximately 15,900 square feet.
Yeah.
And that's, so to that end, we incorporated the bioretention areas and some infiltration trenches alongside some of the trails that parallel Pondview Lane.
Yeah, okay. Had you given any thought, since you're building sidewalks here, have you ever thought about having a footpath or a sidewalk connection to the outlet malls area? And,
The short answer to that is no. That really wasn't discussed for this project, as the connection won't go all the way out to Industrial Boulevard. But being familiar with the area, I think a big hurdle to creating a pedestrian connection like that would be a pedestrian crossing. It's at least 5, if not 6 lanes on Industrial Drive. So I'm not a traffic engineer, but that's a pretty long ped cycle to incorporate into an at-grade crossing. So it would be challenging, to say the least. But that's really kind of beyond the scope of this particular proposed project.
something you might want to consider for the future. I understand the issue.
Sure.
Yeah. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Nelson, for your questions. The only question I have is just weird curiosity. One of the more recent projects that we've seen for your site was the solar panel field. Orient me to your site. I don't think it's on this plan, but which direction is it from what we can see on the plans?
So you're correct, it is not encompassed on the site, but it's located to the northeast of the project. I don't know if it would
Okay.
maybe show up better here. It's located in this northeast corner. Again, north being, southeast corner of the existing site. My mistake.
Thank you.
So it's closer to F.E. Everett Turnpike down here.
That's only just satisfying a curiosity. I knew that was an interesting feature that had been developed in the past. And,
Sure.
I didn't know how it related to these things, just location-wise. Obviously, it doesn't have a functional connection. Other discussion items?
So just a quick question for you. On the organic farm, it looks like there's a current helipad and concrete walk. Those are gonna go?
Those are getting demolished, yes.
Okay. Are you gonna move your helicopter parking to somewhere else?
My understanding is Fidelity has not used that, and they're intending to, close that with FAA.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Brian. Other questions, comments? Okay, what's the will of the board? Final action? Nelson?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve this plan with the changes as described here this evening and as mentioned in the notes, subject to the suggestions by the staff in their memorandum to us on this date. And that's it. I
Yep.
move to approve.
Okay. Is a motion to grant conditional final approval subject to the conditions in the staff memo and the ones we modified here tonight? Is there a second?
Second.
There's motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? 5-0-0. Thank you
Mr.
very much
Chair,
for your presentation.
Do we
Yes.
need to add an amendment to that motion that says phasing of the project can occur in any order?
I think, I was intending that to be encompassed by the as modified here tonight
Okay.
discussion. Casey, is that sufficient for you? Awesome. Thank you very much, and good luck, and
Thank you very much.
lucky employees. Great facilities. What's that? Okay, we are up to item 6 on our agenda, which is discussion and possible action regarding other items of concern. Does anyone have any other items of concern to discuss? The only thing that I would announce is that there are a couple of parties interested in appointment as alternates to our board, and some interviews are being arranged. As is our custom, I don't want to necessarily publicly disclose or discuss the names in this forum. If they come forward and they go through the interview process and appear before town council, they'll certainly be known to all of us. But we have had vacant alternate positions for 150 years, something like that, Nelson. And so filling up, if these two candidates both come through, then they would fill up all of our alternate positions and fill up all seats on our board. And I think that the last time we had that situation was in the days of Pete Gagnon and John Segedy, and some history that's at least a decade ago. So we'll see how all of that plays out. Other items of concern by anybody? If not, then I think the last item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes of January 18, 2022. What's the will of the board? Nelson?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the minutes as submitted. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? 500. That concludes all of the items on our agenda, and so is there a motion to adjourn? Oh, you wanted to abstain? Okay. 401 on the minutes, and for that, you have to make the motion to adjourn. So moved. Is there a second for
Second.
Jamie's motion? Second. Motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
500. Thank you very much for the work. Don't forget to turn your microphones off, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.